What's up, fellow go-givers? Juwan Buford broadcasting here at some incredible time, 6, 7 a.m. in the morning. And what I woke up with and what I want to talk about is something that's been top of mind for me for the last at least 2-3 months or so. And what I want to talk about is the importance of being vigilant about the company you keep and the ground that you plant seeds in. Because here's a very uncomfortable reality that a lot of entrepreneurs have to come to grips with at some point. And look, if you have been consistent at your trade, right? Whether it's been 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you've exhibited consistency. You have receipts to show in terms of the success stories you've created, the impact you've been able to make in other people's lives. If you have been the type of person that has evolved and continually been invested in your thing, right? So whether it be invest in developing your skill stacks, your knowledge stacks, your experience stacks, like you've been stacking these things up, right? Been building momentum. You've been willing to invest in yourself, been willing to invest in your business, right? You have acquired a certain degree of traction, if you will, I guess, is what I'm getting at here. So you've been doing all the right things, and as entrepreneurs, it's funny, right? You never know what all the right things are, but the bottom line is you've been serving your clients. You have a business model that works, is consistently creating income. You've been able to build something, right? The asset is growing, but you find yourself occasionally hitting this baseline and you're having difficulty overcoming this baseline. If you find yourself in a situation where those next level decisions, so you've plotted out the next 5 moves, but for some reason, man, it's just your business is coming to a grind, and it is becoming increasingly more difficult to level up and to grow, right? What you are running up against on a macro level, they say that when a service or product is initially introduced to the market is violently opposed, then there's a lot of skepticism, right? Then there's a lot of lukewarm acceptance. And then you reach a point where everything becomes apparent in terms of your success. And then you have an explosion, right, in your business when when the early adopters begin to take it on, and then the later adopters adopt the product service. And you look at the trajectory of any company, sometimes that happens very quickly because there's celebrity or a movement, the zeitgeist is there, or sometimes it takes time to build. Now, let's apply this on a micro level to you as an entrepreneur working within your ecosystem. The reality of the matter is, if you are coming to a grind, and you've reached this point in your business where, once again, things are going well, people are acquiring your services and products, you're winning, you're doing the things you should do. It's time to evaluate the people around you. Because the bottom line is 9 times out of 10, it's the people around you that are holding you back. And it's tough. They're holding you back for a couple reasons. Number one, you've probably reached a point in your business where you need a different set of talent stacks around you. You need people who specialize in certain types of things. You need people around you who are able to take you to the next level, either because of their influence or either because they have greater capacity in you, right? They always say that if you are an entrepreneur or business owner, you want to surround yourself with people who are smarter than you. Maybe you've reached the point in the business where it's time, right? The other reason why the people around you are problematic is because you want to have people around you where even when you're not present, they speak well of you. They open doors for you, right? If you notice doors are shutting as opposed to being open, and your value prop is real and your modus operandus is integritous in terms of people consistently count on you to get certain things done, you're a proven commodity in your marketplace, is because there are people who are, as opposed to speaking well of you in private, they're speaking badly of you. They're pointing out your warts. They're pointing out the things that you're not good at. There are people around you who are, I hear some people refer to them as dream stealers. And sometimes they're not being malicious. Sometimes they just don't believe you can achieve the things that you said you're going to achieve or that you're taking aim at because they haven't achieved them. Because they haven't seen it happen. They have disbelief in it. And we know how human beings react, right? The natural inclination is to abscond from or go after or demonize or try to destroy things that are foreign to them, things they don't recognize, right? It's just part of what goes on in that brain of ours, right? It's evolutionary. A lot of that's probably happening. You do have people who are envious. You do have people who are jealous. You do have people who live lives of not abundance but scarcity, where they feel like in order for them to win, they have to push other people down, right? In order for them to win, instead of building taller buildings, they have to knock down the buildings around them. You do have those people around you, right? And you just have to come to accept that those people exist. And there are things you can do to offset it, but the first thing is you have to come to grips with this. Because a lot of times people want to take the people they came up with. Oftentimes, there's nothing wrong with that, but just understand when it's time to level up, you may need a different set of people. More than likely, it's not you may need, you're going to need a different set of people. Yeah, there are outliers, but if you look at the outliers, they're outliers because typically not everyone's willing to pay the price. Typically, if you are that guy or if you're that gal, and you're leveling up, you're growing, you're investing in yourself, you're burning the midnight oil, you're doing all the things that are required to be successful, oftentimes the people around you is not that they just don't want to do the same things. They don't have the same vision. They don't have the same will to invest. And at a certain point, like attracts like. And as you climb the ladder of success, and whatever that means for you, but I'm also including financial, okay? Because capital is the lifeblood of every business. You're silly if you think your business doesn't need to generate more revenues in order for you to have a greater impact, okay? But anyway, another conversation for another time. But if you, as you continue to climb, the air gets thinner. The responsibility, the accountability gets heavier. There's more of a spotlight that is shined on you. It becomes, even more succinct and more focused on your movements, right? People become more critical of everything that you do. Personally for me, it's why at this stage of my life, I aspire to build businesses where I don't have to be the brand, where I don't have to be the person out front. I'm turning, a lot of my businesses, if I can't automate it, I don't want to be bothered with it, right? If I can't figure out a way to scale it away from me, I don't want to be bothered with it because I understand what that means, right? When you start building businesses where your celebrity is attached to it, and look, in the beginning, you can't help it because you are the business, you are the brand, you are a team of me before you grow from a team of we. But you just need to understand that as your business is growing and scaling, there's going to be a lot more pressure applied. Some people just are not built to handle pressure. You have to accept that, right? You look at LeBron James and his agent. Well, look, they grew up, not like physically grew up. They grew up together, right? That tandem, him and his agent, they continued to invest in themselves. Obviously, it wasn't like one was carrying the other. Obviously, in the beginning, LeBron was the main one, but since then, Rich Paul, right? That gentleman is going on to accomplish incredible things independent of LeBron James, right? Those are the type. There's no way that could have worked out if they weren't both growing together. And you just have to accept that. I mean, you're going to have to develop new networks outside of your ecosystem. You're going to develop new networks in different industries. You're going to develop new networks in different social spaces and circles. You're going to develop these new networks. You got to expand. Because the people that you came with probably aren't going to be the people that can take you to the next level. It just is what it is. They're more than likely to make it. Doesn't mean you have to distance them, but sometimes you have to have that conversation. You have to distance yourself from them. They really love you. They want to see you succeed. They're not willing to pay the price. They ain't going to hold you back. But the reality of the matter is a lot of them will. And once again, it's not out of malice. It's just conditioning. It's just how we are conditioned as human beings. You have to recognize that psychology in order to deal with it so you don't internalize it and hurt yourself, right? And then you also have to understand that in your ecosystem, you have haters. In your ecosystem, you have people who just don't believe what you believe. They don't have the same vision. The ideal, what you're looking to accomplish, is ludicrous, and so they fight against it. And that's, like I said, tough pill to swallow. People like to operate within their ecosystems. They like to operate within familiar environments. They like to operate in spaces that make sense for them. That they feel like they have ownership of it, or they feel like they understand it. There's, once again, a certain type of comfortability, but you got to get away from that. You got to be willing to be uncomfortable. You got to be willing to operate in new spaces. You got to be willing to operate in new places and with new people. I compare it to a seed. You take a seed and you put it on this table to sit next to me. Absent lying water, nothing happens. Nothing happens. Right? It can be an incredible seed. It can be a beautiful seed. It can be a bountiful seed. That seed probably has 1,000 trees inside of it, or 1,000 vines inside of it, or 1,000 whatever inside of it. It has 1,000 of something in it, 10,000 of something in it, 1,000,000 of something in it. It's invaluable. But while it's sitting on this table, no impact. While it's sitting on this table, no growth. While it's sitting on this table, all the spectacular things that are inside of it will never come to be. But you take that seed and you put it in fertile ground. You take that seed and you put it somewhere where it can be, where the water, the ground is being watered, where the environment is, the field is being tilled, right? Where there's fertilizer, edification, celebration, people who appreciate you, people want to see you win, people at least who want to see your vision win. You put yourself in an environment where there's capital flowing, and there's a threshold of individuals who are living a life of abundance. There's enough of them around. You don't need everyone, you just need enough, right? You're in an environment where your skill set or your talent or the thing that you bring to the table is more readily appreciated, or the environment is such where it can flourish, right? You listen to Warren Buffett, one of the wealthiest men in the world. He always says if he was born a century earlier, it'd have been a wrap, right? His skill set wouldn't have made sense a century earlier. He probably would have met his maker at a very early age and become wealthy. Good luck, right? Just wouldn't happen. But he was born at the right place at the right time, right? In the right environment where his skill sets could flourish and grow. It's the same thing. That's why it's so important for you to take inventory of the ground that you're planting seeds in. You have to be planting seeds in fertile ground. So it's a combination. It's the people, and it's also the space, the environment that you are attempting to grow in. The bottom line is, if you love vintage 8-track tapes, you need to be in an environment where people who love vintage 8-track tapes. And if you're not in that environment, it doesn't matter how fantastic the 8-track tapes are, how fantastic the stories are, or fantastic the memorabilia looks and all this other fun. It just doesn't matter, right? And I'm using that as an extreme, but it's to demonstrate the point. And so that's the discussion you have to have with yourself. I know it's certainly a discussion I've had to have myself, particularly over the last, 6 months to a year, maybe even 2 years, right? And look, you always, of course, take inventory of yourself. You always make sure that you are taking like unreasonable responsibility and accountability for what happens in your business and in your life. But you also have to understand that also a lot of what happens is completely out of your control. And you need advocates. You need individuals who, once again, instead of closing doors and speaking ill of you behind your back and not advocating for you, you need people who are straight up your road dogs, right? You need individuals who have your back 1,000 grand. Somebody's saying something negative about you, they don't just sit back and fall silent. They get up and they bark and they bite on your behalf. That's what I'm talking about, right? You need individuals who are singing your praises. They don't have to necessarily be promoting your business every single day, every single week. They have businesses of their own to promote. But when opportunities present themselves where they know that's something that you're good at, that you win at, that's your place of power, they need to be advocating for you. They're not doing that, right? You're growing and they're not letting people know about, you know where I'm going with this, right? At this point, I'm being redundant. So that's what's been on my mind. That's what's been quote unquote egging me. And as usual, you already know what it is. When something is repeatedly showing up in my brain, I have to say something about it, right? Gotta let my rabbit brain, I have to give it a moment to release. So if this resonated with you, if this moved you, if you've seen this as valuable, you know what to do, right? Sharing is caring. Let other entrepreneurs know that this was beneficial to you. It's the only way this channel grows, right? Is by sharing. That's the most important KPI I look at to determine whether or not the value prop is real in terms of the content that I share and that we share. Of course, let the algorithm know this content is attractive. And of course, look, we eat comments and feedback like Skittles, good, bad, or indifferent. Right? So any comments of the app is always welcome. With that being said, another episode of the Grow Givers Project. Have an incredible day. I celebrate success in advance. Goodbye for now.